Hi, beautiful people. If you are currently watching me on a replay, thank you for watching me on a replay. If you are watching me now and this is your first time in here, my name is Celeste and I am a therapist from Boston. I have been coming on live streaming. So we're streaming on 3 different platforms. We're on Periscope, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. And I started coming on last week. Actually 2 weeks ago, I started coming on. I wanted to talk to you guys just to kind of say hi, check in and see how people are doing, and then kind of offer like resources from about mental health. Hey, hi Celeste from Bradley. From Bradley, where? Where are you? So I'm curious where everybody's from. You're from Bradley. Bradley, where's Bradley at? So I wanted to come on and just kind of offer resources. So that was the first week. The second week, I decided, like, why don't I try to talk to some people that are in different parts of society in different areas. So I had a DJ on, a sex therapist. I had someone who does hair. Australia, thank you for joining me from Australia. You guys are actually rocking me hard in Australia. I'm so grateful for you guys for listening to me out there on my podcast. So I do have a podcast called Celeste the Therapist Podcast. And on the podcast, I talk to people that are doing things to empower other people. And so I've been doing that since 2018. And then when this stuff started to happen with the COVID, I wanted to kind of come on and talk to people. But then I said, why don't I just bring other people on and let's do this thing live? So this is my second week having guests on, and I have a whole lineup for the week. And so I'm so grateful to people that are willing to like come on live. It's not easy to just come on live, but I'm grateful for that. One thing I want to do before we start the show, so I have my special guest with me. You can see his information down the bottom. But one thing I want to put up really quick, I know I have people that are kind of watching me from different parts of the world, but in America, we have this crisis text hotline called it's crisis text. You could text home to 741-741. One of the things about being in crisis, I think a lot of times we miss the signs when we need the support. And so I really don't want people to wait till last minute. You don't have to feel suicidal before you can reach out for help. So, you know, I like the idea of a text line because some people aren't comfortable speaking. So to be able to just kind of convey your thoughts through text to me, I think is amazing. And then you can talk to a crisis counselor, somebody that's kind of trained in this area. One thing about kind of being in quarantine is that you're kind of forced with your own thoughts, and that can be hard for some people. And you know, you may not understand the signs or what's happening when you are alone with your own thoughts. And so I just want you to know, you know, it's important to reach out for support, whether you're looking at your government website or the federal website. Like look at the CDC website is a good website with resources. My kids' school system, their website has a system with resources on it. So I think that's going to be helpful for some people. So my guest was actually on my podcast. He opened up season 3 for me, where we talked about financial literacy. That's something that he's passionate about. And so we came on and he shared his story. And then we kind of talked about, he gave us some like financial advice on my season opener. And so I thought it would be pretty awesome. Hey, Black Irish, how are you? I thought it would be awesome for him to kind of come on again, just because of the predicament that we're in. I'm not a finance person, I'm a mental health person. So I don't really know exactly like what are our options or the things that people can do to kind of help themselves right now when they are struggling. It's nice to see you as well, Lala. I just want to play a quick 30-second clip from our podcast. Hey, Missy, how are you? Thank you for coming again. You've been here every show bright and early. I appreciate you. So I'm going to play a 30-second clip from the episode I had with Nicholas. And so, like, if you haven't heard his story, it's a powerful story. You wonder why he's so passionate about financial literacy and educating people. You'll hear that story on my podcast on season 3. So right after you hear this 30-second clip, we will have Nicholas Josey with us.
I always talk about life happens. Life is and can happen when you least expect it. And in my case, in my family's case, life happened about many years ago, about 45 years ago. I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. And unfortunately, one brother went out and he didn't make it back home. And my father, being a hardworking but strong and proud man, he did the best he could. He didn't have all the resources to cover the funeral costs as well as the burial.
All right, so we have Mr. Nicholas with us. Hi, Nicholas. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you.
That's good. Let me turn my volume down. Okay. So, Nicholas, thank you for joining me. I just played a clip from your podcast that we did on season 3. Amazing story. I'm grateful to you for coming on and sharing that. And so if anybody wants to listen to that, they can listen to the whole episode. But today I kind of wanted to talk about what's happening in society now with everybody like not working right now. And so there's a lot of changes for people. I'm curious on your end as a financial advisor for many years. Tell me, what do you see happening and kind of lead us into what should we be thinking depending on our situation?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me again, Celeste. I had a great time the last time we were together. I'm actually asking more people to, since we have downtime, since we have time to reflect, I'm asking people to work hard at taking personal inventories. Meaning, I've been saying this for 26 years. I've asked people to save for a rainy day. I wanted people to have 3 to 6 months of their committed monthly expenses liquid, just in case they're unable to work. And this is a worst case scenario, but this is we're here. I'm asking people to, my most recent Instagram post, I asked people to look at 6 essentials. I want you to look at the things you absolutely have to spend money on: food, shelter, internet for connectivity, your phone. We can't live without phones. Transportation if you are working, and then all the insurances, whether it's life insurance, health insurances are given, and also any property casualty, whether it's car insurance or renters or home insurance. You have to keep those things in play because life is happening, and when you least expect it and when you least want them to happen, we'll need one of those insurances. So I'm asking people to just sit tight, take a look at your personal inventory, and then anything that you're spending other than that is optional at this point. I'm also asking people to reach out to their creditors and the people that they owe money to. And many financial institutions have programs now that can help them, but they won't reach out to you. You have to reach out to them.
Oh, okay. And so it sounds like, as far as like the creditors, because that's like a optional thing, like you don't need your credit card.
Well, I'm asking people to, at worst case scenario, reach out to your credit card company and say, listen, the COVID situation affected me and my family. What are our options? So if they want to know what your intentions are, and then they'll say, well, based upon the fact that you are affected by this, this is our special program that you qualify for.
Okay.
So whether it's credit card companies, whether it's mortgages, car finance, you want to reach out to each and every institution and let them know your situation.
So being able to sit down, inventory what's happening, because one thing I think that we don't do well is we don't jump ahead of situations. Yes. And I think now because it's like we feel kind of stuck, especially it's like the money stopped. What am I going to do? We struggle with creating a plan. Yes. So what you're saying is create a plan to take space to call each person, because it's better to do it on the front end as opposed to them sending you a ton of letters and getting a lot of calls on the back end.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
And then another question I had about people that may have 401ks. Are they able to kind of pull from that without any penalties? Would this be considered hardship?
Yeah, well, when they just signed that the bill last week, there was a measure that allows people to take up to $100,000 out of their retirement plans without the penalty.
Okay.
It is subject to taxes.
Okay.
But if you're under the age of 59 and a half, there's typically a 10% penalty.
Okay, so that's canceled.
That's canceled. That 10% penalty is canceled, but the federal and state taxes are still in play. So you want, when you reach out to that financial institution to take money out of your 401k, or typically if it's your 401k and you're still an active employee, it's considered a loan. But if it's something that you moved over to another financial institution, then typically it's an IRA, and we can take money out of those institutions without the tax penalty of 10%.
Okay.
And I typically ask people to make sure that they withhold money for your state, if there's a state tax in your state, and definitely have them withhold a certain percentage for their federal tax, because it'll be treated as ordinary income.
Got it.
And I also ask people, only take what you absolutely need, because this money is earmarked specifically for retirement.
Okay.
So take out what you need, and if you have to go back, if you have to go back, then take out a little bit more.
Okay, so we just kind of covered the 401k. It sounds like if people are thinking about that route right now, yes, they have canceled the penalty up to $100,000.
Correct.
But still take out the state and federal because it is income that you're receiving.
That's correct.
Now, it sounds like this may go on for a couple of months, and we're pulling out money. Maybe some of us may have had a savings, and now we're using that. What kind of things would you suggest for people to kind of help them kind of climb back up if that's where they are? Or what kind of ideas do you have for people? Well, maybe this hit them hard and they really want to create a plan to start working on like saving so that so this doesn't happen again. Okay.
And what I mentioned before is when it comes to financial coaching and financial education, I focus on 5 key areas. So everyone has a financial profile that the whole world is totally unaware of, but we still have five key areas that matter to us. The first one is savings. So that's savings for emergencies. And typically, there's nothing we can do about it now, but when we get through this rough period, this is what we're going to go back to. We want to make sure that people can save a little bit of their income for emergencies. And I typically ask people to have 3 to 6 months of their committed monthly expenses liquid in a savings, checking, money market, mutual fund, something like that. I also, the other part I want people to do is I want people to make sure that when they walk out the door that they have all of the insurances that their family would need. Life insurance. If you don't make it back home, you're covered. I say mama bear, papa bear, whoever bear, baby bear, everyone should be covered when you walk out the door. It's mandatory that you have car insurance before you put the car on the road. In certain states, you have to have health insurance. Otherwise, you can't file your taxes without a penalty. But we know, and there's no guarantee that we're going to get sick, and there's no guarantee that we're going to have a car accident. But with this thing called life, we're definitely not getting out of it alive, correct?
You're right.
So it would make sense if you don't have the money set aside, it would make sense to transfer that risk to an insurance company.
Really quick, the life insurance thing, because I know that's something that a lot of people struggle around. What could a low end plan look like for somebody that may not even know anything about life insurance? What would you say? That's
a great question. The thing is that's the reason why I'm encouraging more people to get this information. Follow us on Instagram or whatever. We're going to put more helpful hints. There's 4 types of life insurance. There's term life, there's whole life, there's universal life, there's variable universal life. There's no one size that fits all. So as you do more research, you'll find, one is more cost effective, one hits our budget better than other insurances. So that's where the education comes in, because otherwise everyone wants to sell you something, but I need people in this day and age to become informed consumers. so that they don't get taken advantage of.
Okay. So if you just joined us, thank you for being here. I'm talking to Nicholas Josey. He is a financial expert. We're kind of going over 5 key things that he considers necessary. I asked him about people that may realize like, wow, I didn't really have a financial plan, or I want to like enhance my finances because I'm going through them now during this crisis. The first thing he just touched on was savings, emergencies, 3 to 6 months, and then 2, have all of your insurances. They require us to have car insurance, health insurance, where there's no guarantee we'll get sick or get into an accident, but nobody requires us to have life insurance. And I know in a lot of families, you know, we are not used to having a life insurance plan, but it's something that can definitely take the burden off of our family if something were to happen. Okay, so go ahead, Nicholas.
You know, that was a great recap. The third column is investments, and that's your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, your real estate, all of the things that you're going to put your money towards that you want to increase in value. So we want to start getting people to build up assets. Oftentimes we look at, many people say, well, Nick, I made a ton of money and I spent a lot of. There's a difference between spending and investing. Spending money, you don't ever get that back. But when you invest your money, you're investing it with the expectation that it's going to increase over time. That's the third column. The fourth column is we're out here, we're hustling, we're working. At some point, we want to stop working. So I'm encouraging people that if once you get back on your feet, I want people to put money away for retirement. And when you're actively working, if you have these plans at work, I need you to take advantage of them. You have 401ks if you work for a for-profit organization. You have 403bs if you work for a nonprofit. Look, whether it's a school system, hospitals, universities, they have 403bs. If you work for a public institution like the transportation industry, it might be a 457 plan. But I need people to put money away so that they'll have something later on when they stop working.
Okay.
That's the fourth column. The last column is the estate plan. The estate plan, we help a number of people just get their foot in the door and help them to understand that you need a will. You need a durable power of attorney. A durable power of attorney says if you're ever incapacitated, let's say a person is in a serious medical situation, which is happening every day right now. There's someone in their family that has written authority to take care of their personal and financial affairs while they're under the weather. That's a durable power of attorney. They can take care of their personal banking, investments, any type of their mortgage payments, all these things. That's a very powerful document that many people don't have. So a will, a durable power of attorney, a healthcare proxy. Once again, many people aren't expecting to get sick, but they go into the hospital, and the Hippocratic Oath says, "First, do no harm." So that means they're going to extend your life as long as they're humanly possible. Mm-hmm. But your wishes may have been different. Your wishes may have been, if I'm under the weather, mm-hmm. don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to my family. Mm-hmm. If it's not in writing, that's part of your estate plan. If it's not in writing, there's no way that they can abide by your wishes.
Oh, go ahead.
And the last one, I'm so sorry. And the last one is have your final affairs written down. I have a large, beautiful family, but if my affairs were not written down, you'd have 20 different opinions of what should happen. I have one family member who might want to stick me in the backyard and save the money. I might have a family member that wants to do a big, elaborate thing, plus the after party. There's a lot of things that we can do. I don't think death is a morbid thing. I just think it's something that we need to be proactive about.
Nicholas, I'll do the party. I'll give you a big affair and do the party.
I appreciate that. There's a budget. There's a budget. There's a line item to cover that budget right there.
So thank you for that. If you just joined, we just kind of went over 5 key things. If you missed a recap, this is going to be on the podcast or replay. So one of the things that I wanted to know, somebody asked about a business gap. Let me see if I can get back up to that.
I think they're talking about business gap insurance.
Yes, business gap insurance.
Well, business gap insurance, it's, for example, for small companies, it can just, there's several gaps. There could be an income gap, or it could be survivor gap. So if you have a partnership, and let's say that something happens to your partner, but you're still relying on that person's inputs to make the business go, you have gap insurance. So you have life insurance that covers their contributions to get you through that period. So, for example, I'll just use the example. Sometimes people might have as a business owner, they may get a $500,000 policy, term policy, that if something were to happen to them, that money would go to the company to keep the business running instead of shutting its doors.
Got it. Okay. One more question. What advice do you have for people who have lost money in their 401k due to the stock market?
That's a great question. I've been feeling that question for the last 2 weeks. I'm asking people to leave their money right where it is. Now, here's a better explanation. If you invested something for $1 and in your 401k, it went up to $5. My question to you is, did you make $5? I'm so sorry. Let me say, so if you invested something for $1, it went up to $5. Did you make $4?
Yes.
No.
It went up to $5?
Exactly.
You made $4, didn't you?
Nope, because you didn't make it until you sold it.
Okay.
The same goes is if you buy.
Why you put me on the spot like that, Nicholas?
Because I always get you and I love it. But and you're welcome. But so the thing is this: if you buy something at 10 and it goes down to 5, did you lose $5?
If you buy something at 10, if you bought something at 10,
yep,
and it goes down to 5, no, because you didn't sell it.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm asking people, because most people are invested in mutual funds, and each mutual fund is invested in hundreds of different investments. And the portfolio manager, it's his or her job to make sure that all of those hundreds of investments are doing well. The only thing that's changed is the price per share of their investments.
Right.
So I ask people, and people are nervous when I call because they're like, oh, no, they don't worry about people calling me. They're worried about me calling them. I say, listen, the market's down. Buy more at cheaper prices. Mm-hmm. Do you want to pay $10 or do you want to pay $5 to invest? The name of the game is buying low and selling high.
Right.
What many people are doing are they're scared and they bought high and now they're selling low, and then they realize what? A loss.
Yep.
Everything right now is just on paper.
Yep.
So if it went up to 5, we didn't make any money. It's just the value in our portfolio went up. So if you wouldn't sell when it went up to 5, so don't sell it when you see it come down a little bit.
Right. She says it makes perfect sense. Wait, it does make the fact that I understand that. I tell you, anybody can understand that. I just learned something in 2 minutes. So this is a buyer's market.
It is a buyer's market.
Okay, for stock people.
And same with if with real estate, I ask people, don't buy when it's high. Buy it if you can. Buy it when it's low.
Yeah. Because
if you're doing it from an investment standpoint, you want it to appreciate in value. And they skip that in schools and things like that. We're trying to get into more schools, but they skip that. And we want to try to educate people so that they can make better informed decisions and not make emotional decisions. Because if you sell something, I had a call where someone lost $40,000. They lost it because they sold it when it went down.
Oh.
I'm like, no, you should have called me. I would have told you to hold tight.
Okay.
And watch it come back up. And they said, well, Nick, the market did come up a little bit. Yeah, but you already sold it.
Dang. So you still have your shares. The value just looks different on paper.
Exactly.
Got it. Oh my God, that makes so much sense. I love it. Does anybody else have any more questions? Tell people a little bit about, she said, so glad I didn't touch mine. Yay. Tell people a little bit about Vincita and what you do there and why you kind of created this.
The Vincita Institute is a Boston-based nonprofit organization that goes around different companies and organizations in different parts of the country, speaking to people about the importance of financial education. As I mentioned to you before, that my family was in great need of this knowledge many years ago. So out of a need and out of a challenging situation, I made it my mission to make sure that we empower as many people as we possibly can, so that they can make better informed decisions, not just for them, but for their families. So I ask people to, I know everyone has this spending down pat, but I don't have people who understand the importance of saving and investing. And no one's ever yelled at me for making them save too much money.
What about people who say that, how am I supposed to save? What would you tell them? Because we talked a little bit about this on the podcast, but what are the 3 Ds that needs to take place for people to kind of get into some kind of rhythm?
The 3 Ds, you remember that? That's a great one.
Come on, Nicholas. I do my research. Come on, how are you going to play me like that, Nicholas?
The 3 Ds are your desire. What is your goal? What is your financial goal? It could be short term. It could be long term. You might want to have 3 months of your savings, of your bills liquid. So I ask people you set out what your goal is. We have time. We have downtime. Write down what your individual goal is. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about you and your financial profile, this is something very personal. You don't have to share this with anyone, but this is about you and what's important to you. So your desire, what is your goal? Your direction, how are you going to do it? Well, if I start with $12.50 a week, is that something? Yes. Yeah. If you were doing 0, then $12.50 is a huge victory. $12.50 a week, that's $50 a month. That's $600 a year that you have in your savings that you probably you didn't have before. And that's just for starters. If you can do more, then do more. And then desire, direction, and then discipline. I'm asking people to keep doing it. It's just like anything else. We had to crawl before we could walk. We had to walk before we could run. And that's the same with regards to anything that we do from a financial perspective.
That's good. And I think the discipline is a huge part of trying to get into some kind of rhythm. It won't feel good at first. But like we said on the last podcast, when our mama said there was food at home, we got to use that same mentality. There's food at home.
Absolutely.
And maybe we're going to background it when we get back to work so that we can save that $12.50.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
To answer that question real quick, I'm asking people to start with the basics, start small, and then work your way up. So I'm not asking anyone to jump into the stock market. That's like having me at 4 years old behind the wheel of a car and it rolled into the telephone company window, but that's a different story. It actually happened. But that means I had no business behind the wheel of that car. Some people have no business buying individual stocks if they don't understand the basics. You have to work your way up. You master the savings component. Then we work on the investments. Okay. Mutual funds. There's cash mutual funds. There's growth and income mutual funds. There's growth mutual funds. Then we graduate to the stocks. Then we graduate to the more aggressive things.
So, I know that Vincita kind of does this. You're Boston based. Are there other organizations? Like, how do people find out these things? Because a lot of the things that you talk about today, this is the first time people are hearing. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of people don't understand investments or stocks. I remember having it in civics class in the 10th grade for a brief second, and that was it. Mm-hmm. So like, what kind of ideas would you give to people to help educate them about like investment and mutual funds?
I would ask them to perhaps look at financial education organizations. So the term is either financial education, financial literacy. Those are the key terms that you can look at, and you might find them all over the country. Typically, you want them to be nonprofit organizations, and you want them to not sell your products. So one hat I wear is I'm a financial coach. So not just a speaker. So I I can't speak to large groups anymore right now, but that's a certain part of our business. But the financial coaching is how we do it like this. We speak one-on-one and with individuals or their spouses, and we do it that way so that they make better informed decisions. But they're all over the country.
Okay, so you would highly recommend for people to kind of educate themselves before just kind of jumping into something they're not familiar with.
Definitely get a coach. Definitely look up financial coach. Google financial coach, and they may find a financial coach in their area. But more importantly, the goal is to learn what these things are, the terminologies, so that they. Some people use jargon to make themselves sound more important, but I explain concepts that and people understand concepts, and then you just fill in the blanks from there.
Yes.
And that's what's most helpful. The jargon and all the technical stuff that comes later, and that's not really helpful. And if you have, and the other thing is this about relationships. So if you find someone that wants to speak a certain way to you, that's not what financial education and it's all about. It's really about uplifting people.
Okay, that's good, and you do that really well. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to tell my audience that you think I left out about, what's happening now, or any ideas?
Yeah, I think one, with taking this personal inventory, that's really, really important. And also, there are services, there are food banks out there. Some people may not have savings, but I say, you know what, throw the pride aside. Out there, your local government, if you call their hotlines, they have even in Boston, they're giving young kids and their families breakfast and lunches that they have.
I got that breakfast and lunch. I got the breakfast. I'm picking up the breakfast and lunch. I got 4 kids.
Hello.
Them sandwiches are good. I ain't even gonna lie. They're on point. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't too proud to put my hand out. If it's free, give me 3.
And that's what I want people to do. This is a lot of learning going on here. We want people to just be humble and say, listen, you have people what they call ballers, and they look like a certain way. I care more about how people feel. If your stomach's not grumbling, and if you have, the ultimate goal is that I want people to have peace of mind. And I don't know too many people that have an overload or too much peace of mind. There's no such thing, is there?
No.
So I'm trying to reach as many people as I possibly can. Say, listen, I just want to speak to you. Let me just speak to you for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and give you the basics. And so that you can make better informed decisions, so that no one can take advantage of you. And this helps you to create a positive financial legacy. Yes,
that's good. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Everybody loves you. I don't know why. No, I know why. You're very relatable. Your information is digestible. I couldn't have nobody on here speaking jargon, because I would be like, what are you talking about? But I was comfortable having you come on because we rocked out before, so I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah. But for 16 years, people were laughing at me. They're like, Nicholas, Noah did the same thing, and he was building that ark, and you keep talking about saving money for emergencies. Come on, things are good. I'm like, no, just trust me, just save it. Save 3 to 6 months. Trust me. At some point, you're going to thank me later. And I get a lot of calls where people say, you know what, Nick, I thought you were crazy a long time ago, but I did it, and I sacrificed, and I'm good for 3 to 6 months.
Oh, that's good. And then for people that's listening to this, if you are feeling like, man, I don't have nothing to show for, I'm not good for the next 3 to 6 months. I always say, look at things as a learning experience. Like, don't beat yourself up. You're still here. You're still breathing. There's room for change. And so, like, as we started off at the top of the show about taking personal inventory, please do that. And that's something I talk about, you guys, if you've been rocking with me for a while. Taking personal inventory is the only way we can start to deal with whatever we're struggling with. And I know with finances, that's something we try to wait for. I told you I had, on my podcast with Nicholas, I had bill collectors reaching out, mailing me things, calling me, and I would get so much anxiety when the phone rang. And I said, let me sit down and let me just call these people and tell them I ain't got it, but what can I do? And so once I did that, things started to change for me, and I started to build myself back up. So even if now feels hard, take a deep breath, take personal inventory, and start to create a plan. I think that's really good advice.
The one last thing I would ask people to do, if there's one thing one great takeaway is, I ask people, I may or may not have shared with you my three F's, but the most important thing is this: I care less about what other people are doing because I'm not trying to impress them.
Yeah.
So my three F's, remember, if you're not feeding me, financing me, if you're not up close and personal family member, I'm not trying to impress you. So when I walk out my door, I'm just trying to make sure that my people on my team, when I close that door, I want them okay.
Yeah.
But when I come out, if I had hair and I want to look like Don King with the crazy hair, and if Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Baby Bear love it, that's all that matters to me. People spend so much time trying to impress people that don't really matter to them, and they don't care about them.
Well, it's a circle. Somebody's trying to impress that person. They're trying to impress somebody else. And so, but we all looking like whole fools. So thank you. That was so good. That was good. If you guys enjoyed this, definitely check out our episode where he kind of goes through the 3Ds, the Fs that he talks about. Somebody said, I just want peace of mind. And he really breaks all of these things down, stuff that he's been preaching for a long time. And so, there's still time to kind of create that plan, even if you haven't. So it's never too late to start. I think that's your target line, 1250, because you said that on the episode. So 1250 is our mark right now. It's $12.50. We got to get it right. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate you and your time and your energy and your knowledge. And everybody says thank you.
Thank you so much. I always have a blast. I really thank you so much for having me again.
Okay. All right. Bye, Nicholas.
Take care.
Okay. So that was amazing. I'm so grateful to him for coming on and sharing his knowledge. I just want to really quick put up his, so if you see his website at the bottom, it's right there. And I also wanted to really quick put up his Instagram again, if you want to follow him on Instagram. He's consistently sharing knowledge, things that make you think. He's like, oh, that makes sense, especially like this one right here. Your required expenses, food, shelter, internet, phone, transportation, insurances, those kind of things that you don't really think about because we're not in the financial world. We know what we know. Somebody says very informative, so worth watching. Thank you. So definitely check him out. Even if you're not in Boston, check him out. His website, his information's there. He's very accessible, and a really great person that really cares about educating people. So I appreciate you guys. If you missed this episode and you want to catch the replay, I hope you're following my podcast. I appreciate you as well. I hope you're following my podcast because there's a lot of dope people on that, just like Nicholas, that are sharing information and helping us kind of like shift the way we think about things. So that episode will be on there. And before we go, I just really quick want to show you guys this crisis text line, 741-741. If you find yourself struggling, I really like this line because you can text. Some people don't like talking and don't really want to like speak and don't have anybody else to talk to. I really want you guys to kind of look at your resources. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, go to your local state website. If you have kids and you're struggling there, look up your kids' website for their school. There's a lot of information on there because I got here. Hopefully, yes, the recording is going to be up. You can catch this on the video, the recap on this video this is Periscope. So I'm streaming on 3 different platforms. So that's why I'm like, where are you on your Periscope? So video or my podcast. So you can catch the replay on the podcast. He gave some really good advice. So definitely, like, your kid's school has a website, your state has a website. Another thing I highly recommend is for people to try not to watch so much news. I think it's important to stay informed. You can do that through the CDC website or your state government website. There's something powerful about when we end up when we end up taking in a lot of negative information, that stuff just kind of sits in our spirit. So like, I want to make sure that you are controlling what you can, right? We can't control where this virus is going or how it's moving, but I can control the things that I am doing internally, right? And so the 3 things that I really want you to be mindful of is your sleep, your appetite, what you're eating, and your body movement, trying to get out and move your body as much as possible. You guys can follow me on Instagram too. So I have 2 Instagram pages. This is my personal Instagram page where I just I talk about my everything. I talk about everything. But if you be like, nah, Celeste, I'm cool, I just want that mental health stuff, bam, I got you. Celeste the therapist, I just talk about mental health on there and share things from my podcast, nothing personal on this page. So that's there. And then if you want to find out more about me, you can visit my website, celestethetherapist.com. Here's my podcast, celestethetherapist.com. This was an amazing show. I'm so grateful to you guys for being here. Tomorrow, we have a special guest. I'm glad my laugh makes you smile. Tomorrow, we have a special guest. We have a pastor coming on, Pastor Mona, and she is a pastor in Boston. I want to talk about like our spirituality and what that looks like now with us kind of doing church online, what that feels like for you. So we're gonna have her on and rock out. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you share this episode with somebody that you love. And then don't forget, it's on the podcast. So thank you. Love you guys so much. I don't have my music to bring us out. I don't know what happened to it. I got to put it back on. So we ain't going to have the music today, but we're going to have it tomorrow. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later.